My dear friends, before we begin, I want to ask you something a little uncomfortable. Have you ever sat alone in your home and quietly wondered if your best years are already behind you? Maybe nobody knows you've had that thought. Maybe you smiled through dinner with your family. Maybe you told everyone you were doing just fine. But late at night, when the house becomes quiet, the question returns. Not because you're weak, because you're human. After 84 years of life, I've learned that one of the greatest fears people carry after 70 is not death. It's feeling forgotten while they're still alive. And if you've ever felt that way, this message is for you. Today, I want to share 7 powerful signs that your life may be far more valuable, meaningful, and impactful than you realize. In fact, the final sign may be the most important lesson I've learned in all my years of living. My name is Margaret. I'm 84 years old. Before we begin, tell me your age in the comments below. And if you've ever wondered whether your life still matters, take a moment to like this video, because what I'm about to share may completely change the way you see yourself. Let's begin. The first sign is simple. People still come to you when life gets difficult. They may not say it directly. They may call with a question. They may ask for your opinion. They may seek your advice. A few years ago, I met a woman named Margaret. She was 79 years old and often said, "Nobody needs me anymore." Then one afternoon, I watched her granddaughter sit across from her at the kitchen table. The young woman nervously twisted a coffee cup in her hands. For nearly an hour, she asked questions about marriage, money, mistakes, and life. Margaret answered naturally. She didn't even realize what was happening. You see, wisdom often becomes invisible to the person who possesses it. The world has plenty of information. What it lacks is wisdom earned through experience. And if people still seek your advice, your value is far greater than you think. The second sign is that peace matters more to you than approval. When we're younger, many of us spend years trying to impress people, family, friends, neighbors, co-workers. We constantly explain ourselves. We constantly defend ourselves. We constantly seek validation. Then one day, something changes. A woman named Evelyn once told me, "I finally reached an age where I don't need everyone to understand me anymore." What freedom there is in that sentence. Peace is often the reward for surviving enough disappointment. Maybe you've noticed it too. Drama feels exhausting now. Arguments feel pointless. You no longer need to win every battle, because you've learned something many younger people rarely understand. Protecting your peace is far more important than protecting your pride. But this next sign goes much deeper. The third sign is that you survived things that should have broken you. Think about that for a moment. The heartbreaks, the losses, the betrayals, the illnesses, the financial struggles, the nights you cried alone, the mornings you got up anyway. A woman named Helen once said something I'll never forget. She was asked what the hardest part of life had been. She replied quietly, "Pretending to be strong when I was falling apart inside." That answer stayed with me, because many older adults have survived storms nobody ever saw. Survival is a strength that rarely receives applause. Maybe nobody knows everything you've endured. Maybe they never will. But every scar carries a lesson. Every hardship forged wisdom. Every challenge proved you were stronger than you believed. Sometimes we look at ourselves and only see what we've lost. But if we look a little closer, we'll see something else. We'll see resilience. We'll see courage. We'll see a lifetime of getting back up after life knocked us down. And that matters more than most people realize. If this message speaks to your heart, subscribe now, because the next sign explains why some older adults grow happier with age, while others become trapped in bitterness. The fourth sign is gratitude. Not gratitude because life was perfect. Gratitude because you finally understand what truly matters. I once knew a woman named Clara. She lost her husband and eventually found herself living alone. At first, the silence felt unbearable. The empty house reminded her of everything she had lost. Every room carried a memory. Every corner seemed to whisper the past. But one morning she sat beside a window with a warm cup of coffee in her hands. As sunlight slowly filled the room, she whispered something simple. "Thank you for one more day." Nothing extraordinary happened that morning. No miracle, no grand event. And yet everything changed. Because gratitude does not come from having more. It comes from needing less. When we're younger, we often chase bigger houses, bigger paychecks, bigger achievements. We believe happiness is always waiting somewhere ahead. But with age comes a different kind of wisdom. A peaceful morning, a meaningful conversation, a healthy day, a grandchild's laughter. These things become priceless. You begin to understand that life's greatest treasures were never the things money could buy. They were the moments that made your heart feel full. And once you discover that truth, life becomes a little lighter, a little richer, and a whole lot more beautiful. But now we come to a lesson many people learn far too late. The fifth sign is that you no longer chase people who don't value you. This lesson can be painful, sometimes brutally painful. I remember a woman named Rose who spent decades helping everyone around her. She gave her time, she gave her energy, she gave her support. And whenever someone needed help, she was there. For years, she believed that kindness would always be returned. Then she became ill, and something unexpected happened. Many of those same people slowly disappeared. The phone stopped ringing as often. The visits became fewer. The messages became rare. One evening, she sat alone in her living room and realized something heartbreaking. She had spent years proving her love to people who never truly appreciated it. That realization hurt, but it also set her free, because some relationships reveal their true value the moment you stop carrying them alone. For the first time in her life, Rose stopped chasing approval. She stopped over-explaining herself. She stopped exhausting herself for people who gave very little in return. And something beautiful happened. Her circle became smaller, but her peace became bigger. Maybe you've experienced something similar. Maybe you've watched certain people drift away. Maybe you've wondered why. But perhaps age isn't shrinking your world. Perhaps it's revealing who truly belongs in it. The older I get, the more I realize that quality matters far more than quantity. A few genuine relationships are worth more than 100 shallow ones. And the people who truly love you never require you to constantly earn their affection. They simply value your presence, just as you are. And if you've made it this far, leave me a comment below, because the next lesson may be one of the most important lessons of all. The sixth sign is that you're learning to let go of old regrets, old guilt, old resentment, and old expectations. A woman named Dorothy spent decades angry with a relative. Year after year, she carried the hurt inside her. She replayed the memories. She replayed the arguments. She replayed the pain. Then one evening, she realized something that changed her life. The person who had hurt her had moved on years ago. They were living their life. They were no longer carrying the burden. But Dorothy still was, every single day. And that's when she understood a powerful truth. The person who suffers most from old resentment is usually the one holding on to it. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending the pain never happened. And it certainly doesn't mean what happened was acceptable. It simply means refusing to allow yesterday to steal tomorrow. The older I get, the more I believe that peace often arrives through release. Some burdens were never meant to be carried forever. Some wounds heal only when we stop reopening them. Some doors need to remain closed, not because we hate what's behind them, but because we finally love ourselves enough to walk forward. And when you learn to let go, something remarkable happens. Your heart becomes lighter, your mind becomes quieter, and life begins to feel possible again, no matter how old you are. And finally, the seventh and most powerful sign of all, you still want to grow, you still care, you still hope, and you still learn. A woman named Martha started keeping a journal at the age of 84. At first, she laughed and said, "At my age, what's left to learn?" She genuinely believed most of life's lessons were already behind her. After all, she had raised a family. She had worked hard. She had experienced joy. She had experienced heartbreak. She had lived a full life, or so she thought. But something unexpected happened. As the weeks passed, she began writing down her thoughts, her memories, her questions, her observations. She started reading more, reflecting more, paying closer attention to the world around her. Months later, she shared something remarkable with her granddaughter. She said, "I thought aging meant life was ending. Instead, I discovered my soul was still growing." I've never forgotten those words because they contain more wisdom than most people learn in an entire lifetime. As long as you're growing, your story isn't finished. As long as you're curious, life still has something to teach you. As long as you hope, there is still something ahead worth looking forward to. Some people stop growing at 40, others continue growing at 90. The difference isn't age. The difference is curiosity. It's openness. It's purpose. It's the willingness to remain a student of life. After 84 years, here's what I believe. Your value does not disappear with age. Your worth does not expire. Your wisdom matters. Your experiences matter. Your lessons matter. Your story matters. Every challenge you've survived, every person you've helped, every sacrifice you've made, every lesson you've learned, all of it matters, even if the world doesn't always recognize it. And perhaps most importantly of all, your presence still matters, more than you know, more than you realize. The world celebrates youth loudly, but wisdom speaks softly, and soft things often last longer. A kind word, a gentle heart, a patient listener, a life filled with experience. These are gifts our world needs now more than ever. So if you've ever wondered whether your life still matters, let me remind you today, it does. If you're still here, if you're still learning, if you're still loving, if you're still hoping, then your story is not over, not even close. Thank you for spending these moments with me. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 7 signs describes you best today? Tell me in the comments below. I read every comment, and hearing your stories always means so much to me. My name is Margaret. I'm 84 years old, and until next time, take good care of yourself and never forget how much you matter. I'll see you in the next video.